Welcome to Sports Cuts, a branch of the Axe and Scalpel podcast tree. We are going to be spending time discussing sports and probably other masculine things, so get ready for the ride. It begins now.
Okay, let's go out to the sporting world, which made world news, actually. The USA-Canada matchup, I know Jacob for sure probably
absolutely
paid attention to that. Mason, did you pay attention to that at all? Good. Rick, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so I paid attention a bit.
The big question, how do you believe we responded as Americans, and what would you have done? The Cliff Note version, they booed our national anthem. You're aware of that. They booed our national anthem. And it wasn't even the game that we were playing, Canada. It started in the very first American game when we took on, I believe it was Finland.
Yeah.
So they booed us there. And these were games held in Canada.
Yeah.
So then they booed the national anthem really, really, really loud, actually, when we played Canada. So the question was, what are we going to do when they come to the States? Are we going to boo when they play their anthem?
The national anthem.
First question, and I'll start with Jacob. How do you think, and I'll tell you, I don't know, did you end up watching it?
I did, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before you ended up watching to see what did happen, what did you think was going to happen?
I thought what was going to happen was what happened, to be honest with you.
A bunch of fights.
So the U.S. and Canada thing in hockey is such a pride thing, right? Like especially I grew up in Minnesota, obviously playing hockey, and in Minnesota you end up playing a lot of time against Canadian teams, especially in the summertime and travel hockey and things like that. So the U.S.-Canada rivalry, that goes kind of to the grain of every little kid as a hockey player. The booing thing of the national anthem, I didn't get that part because it was like, it mainly stems from Trudeau and Trump going back and forth. And Trudeau's got like a 20% approval rating in Canada. So I guess they're just maybe being prideful for their flag. And I didn't mind it so much in the Canada-U.S. game itself. It added a little flair to it and kind of hyped it up even more. Booing the U.S. when they're playing Finland and Canada, that was, to me, kind of corny. So I didn't mind it overall. It added something to the game. It made it fun. The U.S. did have a chance to boo when they came back and played the next week in TD Garden in Boston. And there were some boos in the audience, but for the most part, it was respectful. And what the response was just a lot louder cheering when the U.S. played their national anthem. And that was awesome.
Yeah, I, was pretty happy about the response. I felt like, that's a situation. Yeah, it's like, as a free speech advocate, I was like, yeah, they can boo our national anthem.
Yeah.
And we can boo theirs. And then they went out and they settled it on the ice. They fought men. They played great hockey. U.S. won the first one, and then Canada came back and won the final one. I would have loved to see the U.S. ultimately
win the final.
I
think it had the opposite effect the Canadian fans wanted it to have. I think all that did was fire those U.S. guys up more, get juices flowing more for them, get them more pumped up, and I think they got, U.S. won that game largely because of that.
I know, and I just like, good for them for having some national pride on their end, but the time's running out before they become 51st state. So,
did it also show our sense of humor? Did you? Okay, so when it was in Boston, they did the Canadian anthem first, followed by ours, of course. Did you guys have, now, I don't want to sound too critical, but I've heard the Canadian national anthem sung plenty of times. Yeah. It's not a bad song. They have some fantastic talent up there. The woman that was chosen to sing the Canadian national anthem, did you happen to notice anything off about that yourselves?
I did not.
She added words. She was off key.
Yeah.
She wasn't really
intentional botchery.
Personally, I think they went down to a pub in Boston on a karaoke night, gave some lady some lyrics and said, "You're on TV tomorrow at 11. Do the best that you can."
Yeah.
So that gets done. And like Rick said, there were some murmurs. Nothing really loud about the booing. You could just tell there was a few groans. But then when it got to our anthem, and they had the symphony.
Yeah.
And
like,
then
we're going to bring this.
And then that woman.
Yeah.
Not only attractive, pleasing to the eyes, but were you shocked when she belted out the first tone?
No.
I had no idea she was an opera singer.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not be excited?
No,
after that,
Boston was going to bring it.
Oh my God! I was like, that's America in a nutshell. Okay, you're going to do this to us. That's fine.
We're going to go.
We're a little high. We're going to go highbrow. We're going to fire some no-name talent to sing your anthem.
This is America, passive-aggressive.
Yeah, and then we're going to have our trombones, our trumpets, and then that woman. I wish I could know her name.
We can go back
it up.
And find it.
She was, and that's what I got out of that thing.
So in sports, in the last couple of weeks here, Johnny, you follow basketball a little bit more than I do for sure. I think. I know, Rick, are you a big basketball guy? You follow
times,
but okay. Well, so I've wanted to ask more of a basketball person than me because I'm just kind of casual basketball fan. A couple things in the last couple of weeks. So the Luka trade to Los Angeles. I don't get this in basketball. How do these situations arise where they can get players like that and put them on a team with LeBron James or anywhere of the other situations where these superstars who get paid astronomical amounts of money, even from a business standpoint, how in the world can they end up on the same roster like that? This feels like cheating.
It definitely seems like, now, in this situation, Anthony Davis...
You're oppressing the small market teams.
It is. It's really gross, to be honest with you. In this instance, that Anthony Davis guy gets paid a pretty good boatload. So on a financial standpoint, that Luka for Dallas is supposed to... He's eligible to get one of them giant, like $300 million type things.
What, max contract?
Yep.
Thing?
And the story goes is the new owner of the Mavericks that isn't Mark Cuban anymore. I don't know if a lot of people know that. He's still like a minority owner. But the idea is the new guy is selling to their fan base that they didn't want to commit that much money to Luka Doncic because they don't believe he puts the dedication and work when it comes to conditioning. Now, a fun fact about this guy I just found out, we all know he's European.
Yeah.
But Europe does still have a different opinion when it comes to smoking of the cigarettes for whatever reason.
Okay.
He's evidently, Luka Doncic smokes the heater. He smokes the heater still.
So that's that he can't even run the way he does impresses me then.
Yeah. So when I found that out, I was like, well, I suppose, all of us smokers wonder when's the time going to quit.
Yeah.
But you're telling me $300 million some dollars? This guy's still like,
you're going to invest. If you're going to invest that kind of money,
I still like my heaters.
That kind of money you want.
He doesn't vape or anything. He's old school, like the 2-finger.
Really?
One thing that I feel though that I've noticed about basketball now,
but to the thing about the fairness of it and everything. They say that nobody even had an idea, like the players. LeBron didn't know. Luka Doncic. Nobody knows. That's what they're claiming.
Truly was out of
this was just a financial thing. The timing was right. Let's see what happens.
Right.
But, it's another example of LeBron James seems to kind of get what he wants, and I'm sure he probably saw something somewhere and was like, make this happen.
That's the thing. So for basketball, and I remember, in growing up, you had there was all these teams, but the talent was all like, okay, you had Lakers, Celtics, and you had a great player here and there on other teams at that time, like Hakeem Olajuwon, Dominic Wilkins, some of those at that time. I grew up with the Denver Nuggets. We had a guy named Alex English, great player, right? That sort of thing. But now what I am blown away by is there is just unlimited talent. Like, you can have a guy suddenly come off the bench on a team and score 50, right? And so for a stretch there, the transition was you ended up having these these threesome things. So, And I think that kind of started with the whole Jordan, Pippen, plus whoever the third guy was at the time. That Rodman at one point,
Steve Kerr,
Tony
Coach. Oh yeah, true coach.
That sort of thing. And then so it kind of got into this world of like, okay, we got to have this big three. We got to have this big three.
Yeah.
And now I think they're realizing like, yeah, no, that doesn't actually work all the time. And you're seeing Golden State, when they kind of came to prominence there, is you didn't have any one great guy. I mean, Curry is a great 3-point shooter, but he wasn't like a LeBron-esque figure, somebody that you would just look at as this dominant physically dominant basketball player that's got all of the skills and all of the things. On that team, you saw a championship created almost in that Moneyball baseball model, right? We got just talented guys that can do their thing really well. They work together as a team, and you get a good team. And I think, more recently, I think about like the Phoenix Suns, kind of in that realm. They're not doing great this year, but these teams are showing that, and so it's not about having the top 3 most talented players. It's, can they do their job well and work together as a team and do that.
So that would lead me to my second question here for you, John. My second basketball question, and I promise never to lower myself to ask 2 basketball questions in another episode.
Hockey, yeah, love it.
But we're both from Minnesota.
There's too much scoring in basketball,
right? And then too much fake punches.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, so Johnny, both you and I born in Minnesota, raised in Minnesota. We're both dying for some kind of championship. That's not the WNBA.
Minnesota.
And so, but last year we had the Minnesota Timberwolves with like this glimmer of hope. It was worth watching a basketball game again for a guy like me. And then they go and make this trade in the offseason. They get rid of Karl Anthony Towns, which my understanding is it was supposed to be kind of a tit-for-tat type of trade in terms of what they got from New York and talent. I don't even know, like Randall, yeah. And it has not worked out that way. I think the Timberwolves are kind of floundering around 500, not looking like the team that could have made a run like they did last year. What is the Timberwolves problem? And am I right in saying I don't need to watch any more Timberwolves basketball this year again?
The quick answer, it's really, they got old quick.
Yeah.
That Rudy Gobert, I guess, thing didn't materialize this year the way that they were hoping for. He's been kind of dinked out.
Yeah.
But I think they're stuck with the guy for a couple years. It's one of them things.
Big money.
And that's going to happen. But, the biggest thing is, you mentioned hockey, NBA. Is it PK Subban or PK Subban?
PK Subban.
Subban. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you happen to catch what he said about a week and a half ago during the Four Nations and comparing basketball players to
something about hockey players being more passionate or something like that, I think. Yeah.
That's the thing that's riddling the NBA right now.
Okay.
And PK made such a good point that he's gotten criticism for being, get this, racist.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
PK is a black guy.
Sense.
Yeah. He's a black sense. We want an African-American hockey player, which is funny. He's getting called racist because all he said was kind of what you had mentioned. You played hockey.
Yeah.
You can't go through the motions in that sport.
No.
You got to have your head on this. You're going to get
moving too fast.
You're going to get hurt if you're not putting in the effort.
Yeah.
And he said, that's the difference. The league created the Four Nations tournament.
Yeah.
But the players went all in.
Yeah.
They made that thing the spectacle, the entertainment.
Yeah,
they made that exciting.
I would love to see the other professional leagues do that for their all-star thing instead.
And that's exactly what he said. He said, NBA, I got to ask you guys a question. What are you playing for? It can't be the money. You make all the money already. What do you play for? And that's the frustrating thing. Their stars take days off for rest. Their stars do this. Hockey guys, they play hurt. They play injured. And I believe the biggest reason is they love playing hockey.
So is that the T-Wolves problem now? Is just they got rid of the guys that maybe were they're passionate players, or was I don't know if Towns was that guy or not.
It could be
because their kind of problem now is just lack of passion
or chemistry.
Yeah.
It could be a chemistry because that Anthony Edwards that the Wolves have, they're labeling him basically the next coming.
Yeah.
But he's young.
Yeah,
he's going to have growing pains, and sometimes people that get that notoriety too early get a little big-headed.
That there's just going to the youngest ages of it, that there's just a loss of this, that this is a team sport, that this is a thing, like you go all the way down to like the junior levels in AAU and things like that, that there's just not this
too much individualism.
I know that hockey still has travel sports and has all these things, but I still get the sense that this is a family, like, and we care. And like you saw, even as at the end of the Four Nations things, like these guys going and hugging and talking, showing this amazing sportsmanship of, not just the actual shaking of hands, but like hugging and having conversations with people that they might have actually fought with in the game, right?
Well,
but it's like
you guys are allowing me to run on hockey here today. Then so here's the thing I would say that makes hockey really unique. Based off of what you were just saying, Rick, is the language. Like when I was a college player, the language in our locker room and among our coaching staff, you talk about being a band of brothers, right? Like there's military language, like and there's this notion of going to battle with your buddies and that you're a family.
Yeah.
That the family concept always gets brought up in the hockey locker room. And, I got, when I got married to my wife, we had a big wedding party, and outside of my brother-in-laws, every single guy in my wedding party was a former hockey teammate.
Right on.
And so there's just a mentality there. And the other thing, and we could do a show on this down the road, but I think PK Subban is right in the fact that I would make this argument, and I'd die on this hill, that the Stanley Cup means more to hockey players than the championship trophy in any other sport. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Because it's such a part of, like you said, Rick, talking about when you're young, from the time you're a little teeny guy, you're playing mini sticks in your living room with your buddies, and you're playing for that Stanley Cup,
Yeah.
And so it's just part of it that makes it
Whereas
special.
other sports, it's just to win the championship.
Well, and in basketball,
the trophy itself is so you get your name on it, and it's going to be on there till they got to change, replace the ring, basically.
And in basketball, you kind of have competing things, right? You have March Madness, which is huge, obviously.
Yeah.
But then and then you have the NBA championship, and in hockey, it's all about the Stanley Cup. From the time you're a little guy to the
Olympics has its own separate space.
Yeah. But I'd venture to guarantee I would almost guarantee that if you asked, a poll of 500 hockey players, and you said, what would you rather win, the Stanley Cup or the Olympic gold medal? I bet heavy favorite, the Stanley Cup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, and actually, to promote hockey, have you seen names on the cup?
Like
it's on YouTube.
They're like a documentary.
Yep.
No. Is the one with the Edmonton Oilers?
No, it's a whole thing. It's narrated by Kiefer Sutherland. Canadian.
Good choice.
It explains the origins of the cup, and then it takes you through the phases when Montreal was a dynasty.
I know what you're talking about.
It's about an hour and I bet I've watched that thing about 10 times.
Yeah.
And you almost get emotional a few times because them guys that win that cup, they say, to get the name on it, to play it. It's the hardest of all our major sports to win.
Yeah.
Is the Stanley Cup.
What I'm thinking of, you get a chance to watch it with Edmonton Oilers. It's from the 80s when Gretzky played.
Yep.
Boys on the Bus.
That'd be a good, yeah. So, but yeah, in essence, that's really what it was. An exhibition. We got that entertainment out of what was supposed to be a friendly exhibition tournament.
The
Four Nations.
Yeah.
And it turned into
amazing. Hopefully they keep running with it. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
It was great TV.
So,
so go hockey.
All right. Go hockey.
Cool. Let's game on it.
So I grew up as a guy that, in a place that didn't have a lot of hockey. I mean, Colorado. So Winter State, but my dad did take me to University of Denver, Colorado College games.
Oh, sure.
And then in the 90s, the Avalanche came into being, which was cool. I struggle because as great of an athlete as I was in football, baseball, basketball, you put me on any unsteady surface.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. Skiing, skating, any of those things. And again, what was hard at times in the modern American way, and we hear this comment, is like, there's just not enough scoring, right?
Oh, sure.
We want to see the scores. And even baseball, can be that way where it doesn't have a lot, but you could then point to, okay, great pitching and all this stuff. People understand it. Where I've grown as an adult in my sports interests is to recognize the athleticism and the ability of, you talk about puck handling, skating, just the sheer athleticism. It's the same thing that's happened to me in developing an interest, whereas I used to be the typical American male that thought soccer, was just dumb and lame. I still don't like a lot of the faking of injuries and things. Yeah. I certainly can imagine how much it hurts to get kicked in the shin, even if you have a thing. But, there's a lot of times that contact didn't actually happen. Anyway, but to look at what those guys are able to do, the amount of distance they run, what they're able to do with their feet on a ball, and the passing and the touch and some of those things, to look at it from a what's good, true, and beautiful kind of thing, and the athletic ability is what's given me interest there. And so the same thing for hockey. And it's also maybe some of the things that's left me a little bit soured on football in general, just again, as a physician, looking at just the sheer violence of it, and what we're putting these guys through. It's just hard because I look at, these athletes and the speed and things, and I say, well, if you really want to decrease like concussions and things, what you need to do is just limit the size of the guys. Say like, if you're this
league of me,
no, like if you are 6'2", you cannot weigh more than 200. And
weight class football, maybe
be a new thing. That sort of thing. It's like, because we are making them bigger. We are growing humans bigger, stronger, faster. Well, the one thing that you can exert control over in the whole physics of the situation is the weight of the person. And so, but I don't like a lot of the rule changes in football and things now. But I think there's that's just for me. I still really enjoy college football.
Yeah.
I think there's
it's going to get harder though with the money involved.
Yeah, the money involved. I don't like the whole NIL thing. I think it's great that kids can get money for certain things that they would do, but I would just say, like, they were already getting free school, most of them. So I just disheartened with that. It's like the NCAA is basically the NFL's minor leagues.
They should have just left it as is. These guys get dirty money under the table. Rolexes when nobody's
creating.
Yeah.
Let the agent's uncle buy the guy's mama house.
Yes.
Just left it alone. Yeah.
So, but there's just a lot of things there. Why isn't curling more popular? Why is it so popular during the Olympics? Everybody wants to watch the curling.
Everybody wants to become a curler after the Olympics. It's like making new
because it's like it's the thing I could do, right? Yeah. It's like, well, I can't actually do bowling because I can't throw the ball, but I could slowly push a thing and get it in line.
Especially here in Wisconsin, people say, "You mean I could have a beer and play sports?"
Right. Time? I think they have like a curling club, I believe,
in Rice Lake. In Rice Lake, there's a curling club. It's the guy, and I believe that the guy that ended up being the real popular one that won the gold medal a few years ago had a connection to the Rice.
Oh, yeah, unfortunately I didn't catch that one on TV.
And now for your masculine minute. 4 minutes. Depends.
All right, fellas, one other thing I wanted to include in my time with you guys that I thought we'd have a little fun sometimes at the end of each episode is is our minute masculinity. And so what I wanted to present to you guys here before we wrap up was...
Did we just do the Tim Allen?
Absolutely. That might be our intro to this segment.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But I sent you guys a picture a couple weeks ago of... it was somebody's tweet or X or whatever they call it nowadays, but they caught a kind of an off-camera shot of the guys on ESPN on, it was NFL Today or NFL Game Day or whatever they do over there. And I think it was Teddy Bruschi and Rex Ryan and like Dan Orlovsky, whoever one of their...
Oh, yes. I remember.
It was 3 grown men in suits, all with white Nike tennis shoes on.
No.
And so my question to you as gentlemen and men today is, if you are a grown man, say past the age of like 22, should you suffer immediate and violent punishment for wearing...
Oh, that's brutal.
For wearing tennis shoes with a suit?
All right.
Times change that much, gentlemen.
Yeah, so this was a picture from Mike McGee. Can we please leave sneakers with suits in 2024? The look is garbage, right? So, yeah, Rex Ryan has multicolored shoes that are fairly orthopedic looking.
Is that going to be the reasoning?
I don't know. I can't be excused. Now, the other two, Bruschi and, who is he? Alex Smith.
Okay.
Alex Smith is kind of pulling off the look a little bit. He's got solid white. So I think, solid white, I can kind of see it. Bruschi's got the Nike swoosh on his. I'm more concerned about his tie. I mean, it's very much 1960s family dad pick tie. Brown with the diagonal slashes. No, man. Tennis shoes with that. I think you get just go with kind of the tennis shoes that look like dress shoes that are super comfy with the memory foam. All for it. You don't need to be wearing hard leather Italian wingtips anymore.
But you need to be 65 plus, Rick, with an orthopedic excuse from your physician.
Yeah.
That you carry with you. It better be in your pocket and everything to show.
So here's my only other caveat where this, in my mind, should be legal. Would be you have to be 25 years old or less, single, and employed somewhere in Silicon Valley or at a social media company.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you should be punished.
Yeah.
Sounds like one of the places where you're always...
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The only reason why Alex Smith probably looks good to me is that he's wearing skinny pants. Rex has the full-born relaxed fit. Old man, I'm pretty sure they're pleated in front. Probably have expandable waist, elastic waist. Teddy has got the actual matching to the suit, brown suit. Yeah, no. And I'll be honest. I don't. You can call it race or not. I was like, I think black men pull that look off. I don't.
We live in.
I love it.
Okay.
So here's a good history lesson for you. You ready for this one? You mentioned the race thing, the Wisconsin Badgers. What's the song that everybody loves to jump around to at the football game?
House of Pain.
Jump around, right?
Yeah.
Okay. House of Pain, lead singer. Back in the day, he was known as Everlast.
Yeah, sure.
And he had this song called, you can look it up, I Got the Knack. Oh. You got it, and I feel all right. Yeah. But either way, the video features him, black suit. This is old. This could be like early 90s. Old, black, like tuxedo type shoot. Yeah. But he's wearing Jordan sneakers. Yeah. So here's the answer to this. And it pains me to say this as a Duke Blue Devil fan. I think he can only pull that look off if you're wearing the Jays.
No,
I think you gotta have
Jordan.
I think you gotta have the Jordans, because that'll at least give the discussion, and it might give you a tad bit of credibility when somebody wants to maybe give you the old that looks ridiculous. You can say, well,
I'm just saying,
oh, those are Jordans. They are Jordans.
So
aside from that, don't do it.
Yeah, if you're a sideline reporter and you're going to be on your feet the whole time, I think that's cool. But if you're going to be in the studio, I just say, in general, guys, there's no need to dress to do that. They're comfortable, nice dress shoes.
Are you going to go out in public in your pajamas but wearing your wingtips? That's like the exact opposite, sort of, isn't it? Wearing your dress shoes with your sleeping garments?
Yeah, I don't think anybody that owns wingtips owns pajama pants. So, my verdict, as I said, I think you got to be 25 or under, working in Silicon Valley. Otherwise, maybe we agree to disagree. Race, gender,
the real challenge.
There's no. If you're over 25 years old, there's no excuse. Criminal charges required.
Right.
Yeah.
Do suit stores carry sneakers now?
I hope not.
I hope if I go to the Men's Warehouse,
you can find some pretty nice, like, dress. They call them dress sneakers.
Yeah.
Right.
They kind of like these.
Yeah. Well, here's the other question. I'm all in on these Skechers slip-ins, man. Oh. I am like, and so are we going to see the death knell of shoelaces? Like, I have young enough kids that, like, I'm like, do I really need to teach them how to tie? Granted, not tying ability has applications outside.
These are the problems of wealthy countries.
I know.
We are now so lazy. I can't bend over to tie.
What was it? Howie Long's got a commercial out there. Tiny houses aren't his thing, so he's in a big house. And it's a Skechers commercial.
But I'll be the first to admit, I own a pair of Crocs specifically for that reason, just to slip something on when I'm going out to get the garbage out, things like that.
Right.
I wouldn't be caught dead in public. But
what color are you?
All right.
They are black.
Okay.